What's going on, guys? Bel Air here. Worlds is inching closer and closer by the day, so I wanted to go through and take a look at all 16 teams and just give you a quick couple of minutes on the big storyline or storylines that I am going to be watching for each of the teams that we have in contention. Maybe you're somebody watching who hasn't made the time to catch every single event this season. Maybe you don't follow all of the regions super closely, or maybe you're a super fan like myself who just cannot get enough RLCS content in your noggin. So, as we have the grand finals of Major 2 between Team Falcons and G2 behind us, we're on Rawas' point of view for Game 1 here. Let's just chat through a big storyline or storylines for all 16 of the teams that we will be seeing in Texas for the upcoming World Championship. So we're going to start with a quick one. Let's talk about Team Limitless. SSA, they have been here quite a few times, but they haven't really done too much winning. Can they win another World Series is the big question and storyline that I have for Limitless. They beat Valiant, who at the time was a sub-Saharan African team in the qualifier for, what was that, last season's wild card. They beat them 4-0. They swept them. But besides that, their overall game record at S-tier events, which is like RLCS sanctioned lands, is a game record of 0-27. So can Limitless finally rip the Band-Aid off and get a big win over a team here at this upcoming World Championship? They're going to have quite a few opponents in which they can do it. It's just going to be based on matchups and game wins too. Not being able to win any games means that Limitless is almost always playing the best competition, or the best team rather, from the round before. So if they can get some game wins, it might accrue over time and find them in a round 4 or a round 5 situation where they can go up against an SSA, an APAC, an OCE team of the world, and maybe get a big win under their belt. That's something that Snowy, Sweaty, and To Die For would certainly want to have happen as they continue to fight for their region at the world stage. All right, said quick one took a little bit longer than I'd hoped. Let's move on to Gaimin Gladiators. Virtuoso, Maxu, and Tho. Can they upset a quality team or play spoiler? Since Vert moved to APAC, he's played under 3 banners: James Cheese and Elevate. He played with Realize and Kami, and then on Gladiators, he played with Realize and Maxu, and then once they moved off of Realize, they picked up Tho, who has been who has had a pretty good career in Europe. Him and Mike Boy played together forever, and on Sa, which was their last stop, they got some huge wins. They, of course, played Spoiler and beat Karmine Corp twice over the course of the season. One of those wins was removing Karmine Corp from a main event altogether. So this roster definitely has talent. And along the way, Virtuoso, back in the day, upset G1, which was probably his biggest win to date. But they've made it round 5, never the playoffs. This time, the tournament is heavily stacked. Playoffs seem like a bit of a long shot, but dragging a big team down with them might earn them a lot of respect globally. It certainly would for me if they were able to, overcome a FURIA or Team Secret or Power in a round 5, or play spoiler to one of the NA or EU big teams in maybe one of the earlier rounds. Oxygen, they're playing with house money, aren't they? They weren't even supposed to be at this tournament, but Anything, which was Mina's 2 seed, that's Naupo's squad, they forfeited their slot. I think it was the accrual of a lot of things, but visa issues was a part of it as well. And MENA 3 through 8 seeds were not able to travel on short notice either for visa concerns. So here's Oxygen. To make things even weirder, Oxygen is seemingly defunct as an organization, so this really is the last dance here for this team. Excuse me. And it took them a little while to get going once they added Joyo after they moved off EXO. But, you know, they look great in Shift Summer League for Europe as this Game 1 is going to end, and we'll finish up on Oxygen here real quick before we jump to Game 2. Once they added Joyo, they ran through SSL, which was a welcome sign for their fans. And, you know, having missed the playoffs in London, this really is a chance for redemption for this team. They definitely have the tools to contend deep into Worlds. Can they stay out of their own way mentally and not crumble along the way is a totally different story entirely. I think this is one of those competitions where the spotlight is going to be bright on all of these players, but Joyo in the past has really been able to thrive when he is kind of the main scoring threat for the team. I think in this roster, in many ways, Oski has the ball most of the time, and Archie actually has been a pretty incredible shooter for them, at least shooting percentage-wise, being a cleanup guy. So this team, super mechanical, and I really think that it is good for them that they kind of are just seemingly here with very little to worry about. Like, they weren't even going to make this competition in the first place, and their org is collapsing from underneath of them. So this is a chip on your shoulder. Why don't we just let it fly and see what happens type of Oxygen team that will find them at their most dangerous. So certainly a team to watch and a dark horse for me. That's enough yammering. Let's hop over to Game 2, and then we'll talk a little bit about Team Falcons. All right, Atomic point of view so that we can talk about his opponents on the other side. In Team Falcons, the mission here is simple. Finish the job, cross the finish line, take whatever you know, kind of old adage you would like. Falcons are 12-4 in LAN series this season, and 2 of those losses were in grand finals. We're watching one of them here against G2. And this team is tailor-made to make a top 4 in every event they participate in. But so far, the Twins have, and TRK for that matter, have continued to come up short in their careers and haven't won any of these, international competitions. TRK might have to do some transcendent lifting here, unless he can impart a sense of calm on the Twins that will get them over the hump. I know their coach, to whom is definitely somebody that I am looking at. If you have this much talent and you continue to fall short kind of at the finish line, maybe he's somebody that you start looking at. But all of that is conversation for the offseason, and Falcons, as it currently stands, they want to win this thing. They have shown that they have the quality when they are at their best. I don't think it's very close. I think they are the best team. If every single team is absolutely peaking, I would take Falcons over anybody in the world. But can they continue to peak and not choke up in big moments? We saw them in the London Major. They lost in the grand finals. And in Copenhagen, they lost a Game 7 quarterfinaler to Karmine Corp. So all of these big moments where they just cannot get the job done is something that they'll need to overcome. We have seen somebody like Firstkiller, who we're going to talk about in a bit here, see his career continue to get, right to that point, make it deep into these competitions, but has never been able to actually seal the deal. And this is a great opportunity for Falcons to try and do just that. Not only would it be huge for the Twins and vindication for the stunning career that TRK has had so far, but it would also be a historical moment for the RLCS for not only MENA to win an event, but to be world champions, which would be huge not only for Mina, but also for the rest of the world and the regions globally that are not North America and Europe. So a lot at stake here for Falcons. They have a great opportunity to win this whole thing. I think everybody would forget about those close losses if they were able to pull this one off. Team Secret. Can Secret find consistent scoring? And duck Gen.G if we're going to add a second thing, because they really have struggled against that team this year. But, you know, can they score consistently? It might not feel like it, but this is KV1's 6th official, like, RLCS sanctioned LAN event. It's his 8th if you count Gamers 8 and EWC, which I kind of do, but, you know, that's neither here nor there. KV1 has been around for a long time, is the point that I am trying to make here. And we have seen him show defensive prowess time and time again throughout all the rosters that he's been a part of. But typically those are due to winning low-scoring affairs, you know, a 0-1 overtime, a 2-1 nail-biter. Team Secret or maybe KV1 led teams historically do not score in bunches. And I got to tell you, this is a crop of teams where you'll probably struggle if that's kind of your go-to, because so many of these teams can score at an incredibly high clip that just being great defensively probably isn't enough to get the job done. You know, a lot of these teams, it seems like, you know, there's all these teams. How do I want to say this? There's all these teams that feel as though they are probably playoff caliber teams. Team Secret really will have to have a good event, in my opinion, to make the playoffs. But, you know, historically, SAM 2 seeds have done a lot better than we typically anticipate coming in. And, you know, the reason why we watch these games, it's why you play the game, you know, the old clip. We watch these competitions just because we don't think that everything is going to go completely status quo. And I certainly think that Team Secret could play spoiler and sneak in here and you know, make some big waves to continue that SAM 2 tradition. Mata and Brad are certainly weapons, but neither have consistently shown a deep enough bag to create consistently on their own. Can they break out of their shell? Can they take some chances? And can they punish on both ends of the pitch really is the question here. I know that these players are all vocal and animated, and Mata had talked about in one of the recent lands how he considers them, you know, kind of like a family. So this team definitely have the cohesion, but we've seen it especially against Gen.G where they kind of doubt themselves and their ability. If they can overcome all of that and just say, we're going to leave it all out there on the pitch, I think Team Secret could, you know, really take some names along the way. But time will tell for them as all of these teams look to clamor for those, you know, 8 coveted playoff slots. So let's hop over to Game 3 and move our way over to OCE. TRK POV, you know, he's really been a pioneer for the MENA region, hasn't he? Speaking of which, the Quick Trip Pioneers. If I wouldn't have slipped on my words, that would have been a perfect transition. And maybe you guys will forgive me because it was so clever. And let me move on. This is a show us what you got kind of event. Pioneers opted to bench Fiberr during the open qualifiers of Major 2. It was Super Lucky, Amphis, and they benched Fiberr, excuse me, and had Mock playing for them, which, you know, okay. But I guess, you know, cooler heads have prevailed, and after some reflecting, Fiberr's back. And, you know, maybe it's all good and well, and it's just like, hey, learning opportunity. You know, they squashed some beef, got some stuff finished. I have no idea what's going on the other side there. But what I do know is he's rejoining Amphis and Super Lucky in Texas for Worlds. And after watching Chief shock the world at EWC, maybe OCE have some restored confidence in themselves. You know, these three players are not afraid. I certainly feel that way about Super Locky. I think that he is just a killer, and I am not worried about him not being, you know, threatened by whoever's on the other side of the pitch. I felt similarly about Amphis at points, and, you know, Fiberr really hasn't had the squad to show that yet. And, you know, sometimes there's just little inconsistencies that is that a matter of just, you know, him being young and still needing to, you know, find himself in his career, or is it kind of some on-stage jitters? Either way, I think Pioneers are going to have the opportunity to, you know, be in some of these late-round games. I do like the talent that this roster has, and I could see them maybe being able to pick up a couple big wins, or, you know, pie in the sky, pick up this region's first top 8 since Season 6. To be honest with you, if it weren't for, you know, the Fiberr in, Fiberr out, just on paper, I might feel better about this team than Power, just because I guess we'll transition over to Power now. Power have consistently kind of choked at the final mark. They're a team who look better than the sum of their parts and better than what OCE typically has to offer over the course of a Swiss. And then once they get to round 5, and, you know, it can be inconsistency within games and series, not just round 5, but really when it matters most, they struggle to remain consistent. And, you know, Torsos is 24. He's tied for the oldest in this competition, if my memory serves. I think it's him and J-Naps who are 24. And, you know, Torsos talked recently in an interview he had done at the London Major about how, you know, a lot of his peers have kind of hung up the sticks as they have aged out of the game. And Torsos has continued to grind, and, you know, that's one of the reasons that he is, you know, one of the GOATs. He will go down as one of the GOATs of the Oceania region. But I don't know how many more better chances he is going to have to make a top 8 in his career than this. And I hope that for his sake and for the culture's sake, that Power will be able to, you know, put some demons to rest and make a top 8, because I think that'd be really cool to see. All right. Opening the notes back up. FURIA. Firmly dark horses, FURIA. They have collected all of the region's top talent in order to win, but they just can't overcome the heights that they had reached back when the OGs of this region were flanking Yan, back when it was Kaio and Card. You remember how good that team was? Remember that big win that they had over Moist Esports? My goodness, I am so happy that I went to that LAN. That was the coolest series that I have ever watched. And honestly, you know, this is a quick detour, but I hope it's worth it. I work in sports professionally, and have done so for a while. I've been to a lot of games, been to a lot of big moments, and I got to tell you, that was probably the most electric sporting event I've ever watched. Just that FURIA Moist series. That place was so loud, and you know, I want that for Yan again. But him being the player that he is has asked a lot of, oh my goodness, a 0-second goal. What on earth? I know that we just want this as background, but like, what is happening? I forgot this occurred. This reminds me of the Yan 0-second goal that we had seen in that very series I was referring to earlier, as Daniel's going to lay one over the top of Rawas. You know, that's actually a good place to pause, because I might have a little bit more to say about FURIA. So let's hop over to Game 4, and we will press onward. All right, Game 4, Daniel point of view. This team has firepower in bunches, FURIA. And they can play fast. They can play controlled. They can beat elite teams. We have seen their rivalry with Vitality be one of the bright points of the season, at least in my eyes. But they've asked Lost and Drafinio to sacrifice quite a lot, at least from what their previous roles were on the other teams they were a part of. You know, when Lost was on the club, it was kind of like, hey man, you got this. Like, show us what you got. And you know, Drafinio and what he was able to do last season, and you know, not only be somebody who was able to allow a Sam 2 seed to actually challenge the greatness of FURIA, but also is one of the best players in the region, has become a fan favorite, one of the best KBM players in the world. His kind of, you know, up the pitch, getting in your face and making for himself, making for his teammates, distributing. They've kind of asked him to do a lot more defensively on this roster. And he certainly has been able to do it, but it's kind of one of those weird things. It's similar to Power, where it's like you have kind of assembled the all-stars here from your region, but can you beat the other best teams around the world on the day when it really matters? We've seen FURIA absolutely blitz through a Swiss and then kind of start out slow and look flat once we get to the playoffs. And, you know, there's a lot of teams who are just going to kill you and bury you if you start out slow here. I think they're going to need Yan, of course. There's some series where he just doesn't have it going, and it's kind of just you're dead out of the starting blocks. But also they're going to need consistency and trust in one another from Lost and Drafinio. We definitely know Lost is kind of like a Brazilian exotic, where sometimes he has it going. He's your best scoring option. And I think the team kind of looks best when he's your number one scoring option. But that can't be just because Yan is completely asleep at the wheel. And also they're really going to need Drafinio to be able to kind of lock some stuff down so that they can win. So I'm not betting on them for sure, but I'm also definitely not betting against them at this competition. OG. This team, they cobbled together preseason from the proverbial ashes, I guess, if you will, from the remnants of some other really great teams who kind of, you know, discarded them for some shinier players. OG started out the season going 0-3 in Qualifier 1, and since then they have consistently surprised their region and the world. They made both majors, and now here they are at Worlds, which is just unbelievable in a pretty deep North American talent pool for this trio to be able to make every event this season is just, you know, kudos to them and a testament to the talent on this roster, while many have doubted them. This team is gritty, can't be counted out against most opponents, although they definitely can be outpaced against some of the better, faster teams in the world. They definitely want to kind of play a Team Secret-esque control, play it slow, kind of whittle you down, strangle you slowly, and just kind of death by 1,000 cuts you, as opposed to kind of just overpowering you with, you know, raw force or outplaying you mechanically. And that's going to make it pretty tough sledding against this crop of teams. But, you know, more power to them. A playoff berth would be a huge mark of validation for this team, Nolly, Com, and JNaps, if you're not familiar. And a top 4 would just be an unbelievable feat that would set them up for mental and emotional success, I suppose is one way to say it, for next season. Whether they are going to all be together or part ways, this trio have already shown that each of them independently have a ton to offer, and still are elite players in their region. But can they put it together here this time around is really what they are aiming for. So we gonna find out. All right, another North American team, SSG. This This feels like it's it for this roster. I don't really know. There's probably a better way to say that sentence. And I'm positive the same can be said for a lot of these squads that we're talking about. But I really, really feel this with SSG here as we're going to find the death. So let's hop over to game 5 before we even start talking about SSG. I'll leave you on a cliffhanger and make you think that I'm a hater. And we'll be right back on the pitch. Holy cow, we're already on game 5, and I still have a lot of teams to talk about. I didn't think I'd yap this long. Let's try and blitz through some of these. SSG. Like I said, I feel like this is it for the squad. And I don't mean that to, you know, be like, oh, nobody believes in SSG. I am not going to pick them. But let me, just hear me out. I can hear you over there. I can hear you being like, Bel Air, you're such a hater. Nobody believes in us. Hawks in Chicago have really come alive towards the end of the season, and LJ continues to stun with his work on the ball, but I don't see how this team is going to get leaps and bounds better than the results that they've kind of already had. It's kind of like those teams in the NBA where it's like, oh my goodness, what was that cut? I remember watching this for a video some months back. This is a crazy game from Beastmode. I'm excited we're watching this. Okay, stay on track, Bel Air. What are you doing? I guess what I'm trying to say is, like, are you gonna go top 8 in this event and then be like, you know what? I think next season we're really gonna win. Like, SSG are a storied franchise. They have had historic teams, historic players, and there's a lot of new and young talent cropping up in North America, and I just feel like SSG are poised to take advantage of some of it. And I don't see how, if in this event you kind of show what you have shown over the course of the season, which is like, cool, we're going to make a top 8 and then probably get bounced by a more complete, consistent team. I just don't see how you're like, this is the trio that we're running it back with. And, you know, Hawksers definitely continued to grind and improve. And Chicago is somebody who was, you know, almost an afterthought as G2 were breaking up and going their separate ways. But, you know, I think that if you don't show it here, we might have seen the one and done season of this trio. And I want to be proven wrong, but, you know, another quarterfinal result might cement that is their general ceiling. And I believe in this team, but I struggle to see a pathway for them to take a big playoff series off of most of the field that they would probably match up against. I would absolutely love to be proven wrong. LJ has shown his abilities at this stage before, but that's just kind of how I feel, and I want to be honest with you guys. So there you have it. Beast Mode, what on earth are we doing here? Gen.G. I think there's a big question mark for every player on this team. Can Firstkiller finally put his demons to rest and win an event? This would be just a great one to finally do it on. Can Chronic be comfortable in his role and not kind of, you know, wane as we get towards the later stages of a competition? We talked about him in a video recently. They ask a lot of him defensively. I don't think that it is the ideal role for him and his comfort level and his what he does well on the pitch. But hey, that's what they're asking of him. Chrome, I'll be honest with you guys. I feel like I hear rumblings of like people being anti-Chrome quite a bit. I don't like totally get it. I don't know what he's done to kind of like tick a lot of people off. But Chrome does kind of need to prove that he deserved like this coaching role for this team, and that it was actually like an upgrade for them and not just like him getting onto this team, because maybe I am wrong and just like discounting like they still haven't won, but like have the results gotten a ton better with him? I don't know, and I'm not saying that to be like they haven't. I could just be a goof and not remember. But that's enough time talking about a coach when we really haven't harped on any other ones yet. And can Jack lead by example? I think is the other big one. We saw him kind of, you know, be in a tough spot as a gamer boy with his controller breaking in the Copenhagen Major, and then they kind of went sideways. But like, you know, stuff like that, you got to just kind of get over, and you know, it's winning time. And Jack has already won a major, but you know, time moves fast, and I think many have forgotten about that. And this roster have the tools to win and really show that North America isn't just a one-trick pony in G2. But we're gonna see here if GenG can actually do it. I think they're probably, you know, 5th best odds coming into this tournament. G2. Is there any hangover from Beastmode not attending the EWC? Probably not. Can they two-peat and go back-to-back after winning London? Probably not. No, I'm kidding. They actually might. They look pretty good. We just saw them win it here. They go 3-0 to beat Falcons. And guys, I didn't prep for this. I don't know what I'm going to watch after this. You know, let's pause and maybe we'll just go back and watch like the quarterfinal. We'll talk G2 and finish up with some of these teams, probably in one more. I think for the big teams, it's kind of an easy answer, and this video is already 3 hours long. So be right back with you. How about a little Yan action for your soul? Semi-final matchup, and I think this is a Bacchus Mod bug that is going to fix itself in a second with our camera being like so close. There we go. Can G2 go back-to-back? God, they have so much talent. They definitely can do it. Atomic might need to start entering the conversation, rather, for best North American player of the Open era. Not that he is the best, but I'm just saying he needs to be in the competition because this man has done so much winning, and I think just the fact that he doesn't really have much of like an online personality, like the community doesn't really like know Atomic that well, I think that hinders him quite a bit. It's kind of like Jokic-esque, and don't get my words twisted. I'm not saying he's Jokic, but you know what I'm trying to say. Hey, don't be like that. You know what I mean, okay? I know you know. Don't be trying to put words in my mouth. That's not cool. But jokes aside, this team is gross, and I could see them going back-to-back. I think Daniel is somebody who... you know, there's a point in time where he was kind of the new wonder kid. Was he going to be, is he the best in the world? And I feel like some people still consider him in that conversation. He just does so much for this team, I think, between the margins that doesn't really always get noticed and appreciated, especially defensively. He is so locked down. There are a few players in the world who can do it like him. He can still score at an incredibly high clip, continues to grind the game like very few others. And he's just filthy, is what it is. I'll be interested to see what this team looks like next season. I don't see why they would possibly make any changes, but you know, hey, things are always good till they ain't. You know, we see a lot of teams who do a lot of winning decide to go a different direction. Players want to play with their boys. Players want their own teams. So who knows? But if G2 win a world title, that definitely locks them in for next season. And I would like to see that happen because this team is really, really good. And I'm all for parity, but I'm also for seeing the best possible teams that we can. And G2 are one of them. Who do we even have left? I'll be honest with you. I put notes in my phone for all the teams up until this point. But I didn't for the rest of the teams, just because I was like, I know what to say with them. Karmine Corp, I just did a video on them yesterday, so I would recommend just going and watching that. I don't have too much to say about them, especially as we're trying to hurry this video up. What I will say is they're a dark horse, and I think Rise needs to be excellent for this team. They're going to have a lot of pressure and probably jitters going into this event, and I think the easiest way to overcome that is some easy wins and some easy goals, and Rise is one of the best at getting easy goals in the world. So can he do that for them? Be great off kickoffs, be powerful in the midfield, be physical and set his teammates up to get easy shots themselves, I think is going to be huge. So time will tell. Gentlemates, I think the sting of losing to Chiefs twice is definitely going to be there, but do I think that that suddenly makes them like not in the conversation for winning this? No. I had put out a tweet a couple of days ago about just like rankings currently on like the twos leaderboard. There's only one team in the world that have all 3 of their players in the top 20 in ranked twos, and that is Gentlemates. This team is grinding. They just tweeted out today that they have arrived in Texas, at least in the States, for Worlds. So this team is not messing around. They won the Copenhagen Major to begin the season, and I am a huge fan of all 3 of these players. So are they the number 1 or number 2 or number 3 teams in, you know, best odds to win it? No, but if we walk away from you know, Worlds and they are holding the trophy, will I be shocked? Absolutely not. Team Vitality. Man, wouldn't that be something if after all this they just, you know, win Worlds again? That would be so cool. It would really just make Zen just, you know, no questions about it, best player in the world, I think. It also would be huge for Alpha's legacy, and probably would be a stabling force for this roster moving forward. I talked about how Redosin, I think his contract is like, his is the one that is the least structured long-term for this roster. And, you know, they haven't been able to get the big win this season after just absolutely owning everybody last season. So would they try to look to pick up some new talent? I know that everybody wants to play with Zen. There's a chance. So huge opportunity for Zen to supplant himself as the best in the world. Huge opportunity for Alpha to enter super rarefied air as some of the best to ever do it. And a chance for Redosin to prove that he belongs on one of the best teams in the world, which I think he does. But, you know, he has kind of ebbed and flowed over the course of this season. So Vitality haven't been able to get consistent wins over the best of the best in Europe. But that doesn't mean that they're not one of the best teams in the world. So maybe we can finish up the rest of the teams with one more game. I can't believe how long this is. I hope if you are still here, thank you so much. I hope you have enjoyed this kind of video. I have a lot to say, as I'm sure if you've been a fan of the channel for a while, you know. So one more brief pause. We'll hop back on the pitch and finish up with the last couple of teams. Yeah, a little more Daniel, why don't we? You know? All right, who is left? I know for sure BDS is left. They really are peaking at the right time. I did a video after they won EWC, and my goodness, did they look good. Falcons also look bad. But, you know, m0nkey M00n as, you know, modern era RLCS GOAT, I think is a pretty easy conversation to have. Of course, I'm not like, you know, I think I do. You got to know what your strengths are, guys. I think I do a lot of things well. I think Yap is one of them. I think watching a lot of RLCS is another one. And I hope being entertaining is a third thing I do. But being a historian, while history is interesting to me, and I've been watching the RLCS for a minute, is not one of my strong suits because my brain ain't so good and I forget stuff really quickly. So a lot of times I'll be like, oh my gosh, you know who's the best player in the world? Is I don't even know. This is a bad example. Is Atau. How good was he last season? And people be like, but you're not thinking about this event and this event. Not that that's what people sound like, but you know, enough caveats aside, I'm trying to prove a point here, guys. All I'm trying to say is maybe there's a player I'm forgetting about, and it's like, how could you possibly say m0nkey M00n is the best? You're not even thinking about Bob's so good. Anyways, gosh, we're really starting to we're getting a little looser here as we get into the later teams. Um, you know, BDS, when Exotic is on, he is on. I think we've seen Drolly show some nerves in his, the early stages of his career here, and I think those are two signs that make me a little nervous as we head towards Worlds. But you can't really doubt Monkey Moon until he gives you a reason to, and he continues to not really give us a ton of reasons as to why we should doubt him. I think they have, whether you believe in them or not, results have shown that they are one of the few teams that you just have to consider as potentially being winners of this event. They just said goodbye to Extra, which has got to be a little hurtful. I honestly don't really know how much he was doing for them besides collecting a paycheck. Not saying that's all he did, but like, was he doing coaching stuff or like film or practice? I have no clue. But ushering out the end of that era of BDS is something that we have just seen, and maybe that is a cathartic way for them to move on to this next era of winning with all of the talent that they have now, because boy do they have some talent. But I think the big question for BDS is, can they find good matchups along the way? I think that always helps, but that's kind of a cop-out answer. You can tell that I didn't write notes for these ones and that I put a lot of thought into the other teams because I'm drawing a blank here, fellas, for BDS. But let's say this: the big storyline for them is if they win this. I mean, just like, what would someone have to do to overcome a Monkey Moon? He has done so much winning with so many different rosters, really having always evolved and been at the top. Like, it's not like he's, like collecting some like glory trophies as he's on some hyper talented roster and he's just like dead weight. Monkey Moon is kind of still the dude, and to be able to do as much winning as he's done over his career and still at this point in the best region in the world at the most competitive time in the esports history is just overwhelming. And Monkey Moon has already crystallized his greatness for me and for everybody in the community, but a win like this would make him just kind of undeniable as one of the best that we will ever see do it. So that is a huge opportunity for Monkey Moon to secure that for himself. What teams have we forgotten about? Did we hit all of them? I think we might have hit all 16. Maybe I'm forgetting somebody, and if so, I will rope them in here. Let's just give it a quick thought. Let's go through the teams, why don't we? Let's count up to 16. G2, GenG, SSG, OG, FURIA, Power, Pioneers, Team Secret, Team Falcons, Oxygen, that's 10, Gaimin Limitless, that's 12, and then we did BDS, and then we did Vitality, and then we did Karmine Corp and Gentlemates. Guys, that's everybody, which is perfect because the ball has just fallen to the ground. Thank you so much if you stuck around for this. I know it was long-winded. If you want something shorter, go find something shorter. But this is basically my attempt to revitalize my old podcasts that I used to do back in the day. Maybe that's something that'll come back in the near future. I don't know. But I just cannot wait for this event. It's been kind of wild to think about how these last couple of years, the RLCS has just become so important to me in my life on a daily basis. And, life moves fast, but there's always competitions to look forward to. And I just feel so fortunate to be able to be in a position to enjoy these competitions and have people out there who care enough about this esport and maybe in some small way my opinion to sit here and listen to me talk about these teams for so long. So videos like this are not going to become super commonplace. I think we have a good thing going, but this is just kind of the tying a bow on the end of a very long video. So guys, thank you so much for checking out the content. What do you think about the teams that we have going in? Am I wrong about any of these? Let me know in the comments below, and definitely let me know who you have winning. We're getting closer and closer. So, guys, as always, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to come hang out. And until next time, guys, take it easy.